Whoa. Whoa. Put your hands up. Oh, yo, cut that.
All right, so here's the plan for this video. Since I had such good luck with the first batch of cutting boards I made a couple vlogs back, they're completely sold out. I wasn't even able to put any in any retail spaces, so thank you very much. I'm thinking that I'm going to make a second bigger batch of cutting boards so that everyone who's on the waiting list will get one, and I'll be able to put some in some retail spaces and experiment with the Unfinished Kitchen brand. We'll see what else I add to the line, whatever. To help with efficiencies and all that, I'm thinking of swapping out this tabletop. I already took out all the screws, and this is OSB, so like glue ups, like the glue just sticks to it and it's hard to scrape off. I'm going to replace this with a sheet of melamine like we did with the new table from a couple of vlogs back. Also, Jonny B is here today.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
He's painting cabinet doors.
Ah, spraying cabinet doors. Spraying, not painting it. Spraying it.
Spraying with paint. The new shop is going to have a spray booth. That'll be freaking awesome. Dreams, of course, but we'll see when we get there. Remember last time I said I still needed to clean all of this up at the end of the day? Well, I still need to clean it up. I'm gonna see what I can pick out of here and reclaim into a cutting board. I'm sure there's plenty of good wood. But since some wood isn't available in a reclaimed sort of nature, I'm here with Clint at my favorite wood store, picking out some stuff in the discount bins, let's say. So we got some walnut, maple, and cherry. I think I'm gonna get some cherry and some walnut. And then on the other side, there's some more as well. Ash, yuck, yuck, ignore those, and some hickory. They're all blonde, so I don't really need those. Walnut's only $12 a board foot. Maple's $9, and the cherry is $7, and they measure like the width, the thickness, and the length. Clint thought that this wood would be nice, and it is nice, but it's $85 a board foot, so we're gonna keep that in there. Instead, we're gonna get some more of my favorite wood here, Purple Heart, and it is only $19.50 a board foot. And so in the end, I got a piece of Padauk, a foot and a bit, a piece of Purple Heart, a piece of cherry, and a piece of walnut. And for those of you who are allergic to nuts, I got a nut-free oil, all for the grand price, oh thank you, of $152.74. And that is why cutting boards cost a lot. Because the value of the wood is in there, plus there's craftsmanship, plus there's the desirability and all that other jazz that goes into it. Now, what Clint and I are going to do is go look up some table saws, but for now, back to me in the studio. Thanks, Josh. Good luck finding a new table saw. For now, we will use this one. So we ripped down some of the reclaimed wood that we had. In this case, it's a piece of oak, and now we have a piece of Padauk that we're going to use as an accent in the middle of it, if it looks good. We're just kind of experimenting. So, some oak with some Padauk. I think that will actually look pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and then when we plane it down, yeah, it'll look even better. My hand is almost healed. Yeah, when this is all playing through, that's gonna look pretty good, I think. We shall see. So another thing for efficiency's sake is I have Steve working with me to help move everything quickly along. So what we're gonna do here now is glue everything up. Ta-da! And now while that's drying, since we don't have any more clamps because we did several glue ups here all over the place, we're gonna make another style. Hey Milo. So last time the most popular boards, or the more popular boards, were the charcuterie boards. So I was thinking about making some more charcuterie boards. Here's some leftover bird's eye that I'll be using. Steve has some teak there. Those will work good, yeah. And I'm sure there's plenty of other wood in here that I can use as well. I'll start with this one though.
I see the violence in your eyes, and it's a silent fighting. I see the lies in their mind, and you can't decide cause they only blinding. Go away and go from the bad guys, follow my advice cause they're gonna be biting you. They're gonna kill if you let them through. Go, mommy, go. Don't want to see you cry. Mommy, go now. I really wanna brutalize, let him agonize, cause it's gonna be biting you. They're gonna kill if you let them through. Go, mommy, go now. I really don't want to see you cry. Mommy, go now. I really wanna brutalize, let him agonize, cause it's gonna be biting you. Violence in your eyes, and it's a silent fighting. I see the lies in their mind, and you can't decide cause they only blinding. Go away and go from the violence, follow my advice cause they're gonna be biting you. They're gonna kill if you let them through. Go, mommy, go. Don't want to see you cry. Mommy, go now. I really wanna brutalize, let him agonize, cause it's gonna be biting you. They're gonna kill if you let them through. Go, mommy, go now. I really don't want to see you cry. Mommy, go now. Let him agonize, cause it's gonna be biting you. They're gonna kill if you let them through.
Okay, ran into a bit of a snag. So it's been awesome having this drum sander for smoothing out and flattening our workpieces, because the planer can be a little aggressive. But unfortunately, as Steve was running this piece of oak through it, somehow the belt ripped. So it's clipped in on the sides, on both sides here. And this side here, it stayed on. However, on the other side here, it ripped. And we have a broken, damn it, I had this all laid out perfect. We have a broken belt, so no longer reaches. Still lots of life left in here, but it's basically useless for this machine here. Luckily, Steve in his car had a roll of this, which should work. All right. So this grit is a little lighter than this grit.
Actually, it's a lot lighter. This is 80 and this is 240. Typically, that's not how you want to start out, but that's all we have right now. So let's see how it works. No. No.
No, that's not gonna work. This paper is way too fine. We need to get something else for it. It's too bad that they don't make these long enough to run 2 lengths. Steve, your stuff it's too fine. We'll save this for the back roll, and I'm gonna go get some more of this stuff because we're just gonna be wearing out the paper and we're gonna have to change it out way more often. Let's save some time. Oh well. Okay, I'll be back. That's more like it. That'll work out better than these little rolls. They're not nearly big enough, but this will last a while. And since they're on sale right now, I think this is the better buy regardless. There we go, like that. Nice and heavy. And then we got the lighter stuff here. This should work good. I'm excited. Now let's see what kind of a difference it makes on this bad boy here. Turn it on. See this here. Much better. I could probably take that off in just one more pass. Ugh, this thing is dusty. Much better. Much better. Now, even though this is, hold on a second. Now, even though this thing is dusty, this thing is amazing. This is something that I didn't have for the first batch. So remember in the first batch when I tried to put one of these through the planer and this happened? Yeah, we don't want that to happen again. I didn't have this set up last time, but now that's what we'll put this in. Now the planer is still good. See here, we've unclamped our first round of this batch's cutting boards. You can see this Paduke is way thicker than this oak. And so we use the thickness planer. So let's just crank that down a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Turn it on, push it through. That's closer. I also want to take the finish off the oak, so I can put it through there a couple more times.
There we go. Now it's all uniform and ready for sanding. And I can sand it in this and then hand sand it and it'll be good to oil. Now I want to show you the benefit of having a thickness sander or a drum sander for an end grain. So we'll turn it on.
All right, now all I need to do is do a little hand sanding on there, put a brand on there and oil it, and it is good to go. I'm glad that I went and got new paper for that thing. I wish I had sandpaper in there for the first batch. That would have made things way easier, but instead I waited till all the cutting boards were done, and then Clint put sandpaper in there. I didn't know how to do it, but now I do, so I will be using that from now on. Especially for the end grain work pieces, because it works very well for these. Let me show you here. If you look at it from this angle, when you do the glue up, the glue is slippery, so when you squeeze all your laminations together, they kind of move, and then they need some serious resurfacing if that happens. However, if you don't have a thickness sander or a planer, you can use a planer, but you need to have some sacrificial pieces on there in case you have blowout. This is kind of a catastrophic example, like that it somehow twisted in there. That's not typical, but it does happen. But another way to do it is you can do what I did here on this board. This is my very first end grain cutting board. It's destroyed now, but it used to be like this big. I can't exactly remember, but this is actually part of it right here. It was a gift, and I told them not to submerge it when they washed it, but unfortunately they left it in a sink of water overnight. So it's become delaminated, but I've reclaimed it as best I could. But anyway, how I flattened this one is I actually used a router jig. So just imagine my finger is a router bit, and I just moved it basically back and forth until it was flat, flipped it over, did the same thing on the back. The router rides on a couple of rails, and there's a sled involved. It's a whole thing. This is a lot easier, but I didn't have that at the time. I didn't even have a planer at the time. I have a planer now, but now I just use Clint's because they're bigger and better. But yeah, that's another way that you can do this so that you don't get blowout and you have a nice smooth work surface. This is faster and more accurate, I would say. I like it. Now I'm kind of glad that the sandpaper ripped in there again, because I probably wouldn't have gone into this. So thank you, Steve. You can also use it for your long grain work pieces as well. That thing actually kind of works as a planer, but instead of having knives in there, it just has rolls of sandpaper. So it's a little more friendly, because even in this one here, I had a little blowout. So this will be the bottom of the board. That'll affect the price a little bit. But now that we have all of our first round unclamped, we can clamp up some other stuff. We're gonna do an interesting glue up here. This is something that Steve thought of, where we're gonna use the same laminations that we've been using in terms of species of wood, but we're gonna do a different pattern in the actual finished board here. Just make sure that it'll work. Okay. We're gonna have to plane this quite a bit, but this is going to look dope. So rather than just go parallel with everything, we are going to put an angle in our accent. So we're using maple, walnut, and then my favorite wood of all, we are also using some purple heart to hug either side of the walnut there. It's gonna look pretty sharp. I think this is the nicest combination. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like the purple part too.
Okay, now let's see. Good idea, by the way. Okay.
The clamping was a bit interesting, but
So now to make sure that our maple laminations line up, we have this cheater block here that we are going to lay over top, and that just has to stay in the right spot while we clamp this, because when we squeeze it together, everything's going to want to move because the glue is slippery. We have this picture frame clamp, which is way too inconvenient because you need to have hollow. You need to have a hole in the middle of your. Oh no.
Just makes it.
Put that clamp, yeah, right across there. Okay, that one.
No.
Yeah.
No, we tighten them both at the same time.
No. This one needs to go a little further. Keep going. Still looks good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Crushed it. Okay, sweet. Okay, we'll leave this be then. And now, since we've used up all the clamps again, oh, real quick. Remember last vlog where I made the cutting boards and I said that we were out of tape measures? We always seem to lose them. Well, I got a whole bunch more to hopefully solve that problem. But anyway, now that we've used up all the clamps again, I think we can get back to doing charcuterie boards. I'm thinking about taking out of this pile here because we have no place to put it, so we may as well use it. I got this piece of poplar here. I actually have 2 of these, and I'm thinking about using them up. This one's the shorter of the 2. I can make a table runner style charcuterie board. We'll try it out. The next tool I need is locked in Ashley's car. And the problem with that is we've had a ton of snow. And that's not a huge issue because if I could open this, it'd be fine. But the thing is that Ashley's friends are picking her up from the end of our driveway because we haven't had it plowed up right now. So as you can see, there's no tire marks here yet. And now I have to walk through all this snow. Luckily I can walk in footprints here because, oh, she's coming back up the driveway. I can walk in footprints here because we've already gone down here once or twice with Henry. Got those keys?
It's alright, I haven't thought about leaving them with you.
That's okay. Alright, fantastic.
I love you.
Thank you. Love you too. I needed her keys because the next tool I need was borrowed by her dad and he gave it back to her. And so she has it in her car. The reason why she's waiting at the end of the driveway to be picked up is because we fear that since we haven't gotten our driveway plowed yet, they might get stuck in the driveway. Okay. I'm glad that I caught her before they arrive. Whew, there it is. That's the one I need. Oh man, it's so cold. It's very snowy, but it's pretty mild, but skin on bare metal is not the best feeling in the world. There we go.
Excellent. This piece is actually really cool because of the raw material that I got to start with. It was a little bit thicker, so I was able to play with the shape a little bit here in the handle. How it's raised like that. I also did a little bit of that here in the front. I think that's just super cool. It's a small detail, but it adds a lot to a piece like this.
So I'm glad I was able to experiment and try something new, because I think that this handle turned out excellent. That's really cool. So this is a piece of poplar, so it's a softer hardwood. Typically you would want to use a more dense wood for your cutting boards because they're more resilient to cutting and chopping. They mar less, they last longer. But for a charcuterie board, it's not a big deal. It's not unheard of to have a softwood cutting board, but if you are going to have one, it's better to use it as like as a serving tray, if you will. Like here, you can put your fancy cured meats, your gross ass cheese, your crackers, those gross purple olives, and any other adult lunchable ingredient. This will not be damaged by any of that, especially if it's well taken care of and you're not cutting on it. Although you can cut in this. I personally have a softwood cutting board in my kitchen that we got years ago before I even thought about doing any woodworking type stuff. So I don't know, and we cut on it all the time, and we've had it for like 7 years. So yeah, but anyway, typically you want to use a hardwood. So this here, similar style board. This is actually that cherry that I purchased while with Clint. I decided to use the whole thing, or almost the whole thing, because of this oval piece here. That's really gonna pop when I oil it. But you can see it still needs some sanding to make it right. But in theory, this would be more resilient than the softer woods. What you want to shy away from in most instances is something like this. This is really soft wood. This is a conifer or a coniferous tree. Rule of thumb, trees with leaves are hardwoods, although there are soft hardwoods like poplar, and trees with needles are softwoods, although there are hard softwoods like hemlock, for example. This is neither, though. This is a softwood, but it just had so much character in it that I wanted to try to make something out of it. All these cracks and stuff, plus it gave me an excuse to put in these bow ties. I'm not the best woodworker, so they're not the best bow ties, but whatever. It adds to the character of the piece, and I really like it. Why not try to make at least a serving tray out of it? Basically, not good for much else. It's really skinny. Found this piece of spruce and started chopping.
shine. You know it's a light gets dimmer. I'm not hard to find. TV's watching me, baby. Anything to unwind. But this post-truth era, I can't tell no wrong from right.
That's right.
Always know my good use away. It doesn't matter what I say. Go with the baby. What's on your mind? I'm a wild child, sweet bitter. Mama, I ain't lying. TV's watching me, baby. Same way as before. When this post-truth era came a knocking at my door.
Alright.
Sing it.
Take it away.
When this post-truth era came a knocking at my door.
All right, now to do the final detail, which was suggested in the last video, which was to get a branding iron so I could brand each board. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna brand it with the branding iron that I actually had last cutting board vlog. So I'm not sure why it was suggested. I guess they just didn't watch the whole video, but there we go. The last of this batch done. Not bad for a for kind of a discard piece of scrap that I didn't actually know what I was going to do with for a couple years now, but I'm glad that I hung on to it. It's like a traditional style like serving tray, but like some like woodland creature made it, some like elf or something made it, rather than some like silversmith. I really like this. With this one, I decided to keep the bark on there. On this side here, I had cut, this piece was splintery, so I cut it off and I followed the grain to give it a bit of a live edge look. But on this side, I didn't want to do the same thing. I wanted to keep that bark on there because I love the way it has like these colors in there. So we got the bark, we got the sapwood, and then we got the heartwood, and they're all different colors. And then we also have the bow ties here, which are also a different color. These are walnut bow ties. And I think together they all look good. Now, to keep the bark from flaking off, I've stabilized the whole board with polyacrylic. It should also help with the cracking. We shouldn't have as drastic cracking as with temperature change and everything. There still will be some, of course, because it is an organic material and the atmosphere is still the atmosphere, but hopefully we're going to minimize that as much as possible. With my bow ties here, you can see I'm not the best woodworker. With this material in my skill set, I just couldn't get it perfect, so I had to do some filling there. But I think overall it turned out good. And I love the way the wood contrasts. I think it looks awesome. And then the steel also contrasts nicely. I like the way that these turned out. I actually used the leftover nails from the last project I was using these nails for, which was that grate that I built for my brother-in-law for his rental property. Do you like it?
I love it.
Excellent. Hopefully your renters like it. Moving day. Oh, what if they snag it? That would suck. They worked perfect in this piece here. And then I wanted to do like an organic look to the handles. You can see like some of it is just the nail itself without any work done. It had like this pitting in there and I thought that was nice, so I kept it. But for the handles, I wanted them to be a little beefier, but I didn't want them to look, you know, polished and perfect. I liked this look. I was even thinking about mimicking tree branches, but since this is spruce, I was thinking that I would be obligated to put on, you know, little spruce needles, and to have spruce needles near where you're gripping it might be a little uncomfortable, so I decided to go with this, and I think that it turned out really good. Unfortunately, I have some flaws in here that I couldn't get out. Flaws like this, you know, I'm cool with, but this is a manufacturing flaw, this line here. But, you know, I didn't want to sand it down any thinner than this, so I have to live with that. So overall, I'm happy with that piece. So that's the last of the B batch of cutting boards. So let's look over the rest of what we've done for the B batch. Here, I did similar ones in the last batch, in the A batch, which is just some maple with a breadboard on the side done in walnut. These were reclaimed from a conference table, this one and that one. Here I did like a round over on the bottom. This one here is a chamfer. I kind of like the way the chamfer looks, so I do that quite a bit. Here on this end grain one, I've done that same thing. I love the end grain. These need to be oiled a few more times. Well, everything does, but since I put the oil on there, everything pops. It just looks fantastic. With this one, I've done a round over on the bottom. Looks good too. I like it. I like both of these. They turned out great. Moving on, we got some oak and teak. I think these woods work good together. Not a big fan of oak, but these two look good together. Then we have a nice bigger chopping block here made with maple and black walnut. I think that turned out pretty good. This one here, this is the one that Steve had came up with. This is the one that Steve thought of, with having the angled piece in there. I think that's a great accent. Unfortunately, we had to cut off a little more than we wanted to because the glue up wasn't as tight over here, but it still looks good. We'll probably experiment more with stuff like this in further batches, but I really like how the maple, the purple heart, the black walnut, they work together really nicely. Did the same thing in this board in terms of the species, and I think that looks fantastic. I just did one chamfer here on this one, but on this one I decided to do a chamfer on the top and bottom, and that looks kind of interesting. There's a lot to experiment with woodworking, and these two I think are really nice. Moving on to the other table. Well, actually first, so this is the oak glue lamb, this reclaimed, that Steve was trying to get processed in here where we broke the sandpaper. We decided that we're gonna save this for the next batch, batch C. So not sure exactly what how many boards are gonna come out of this, but look forward to batch C. Now as we move on over to this table, we got a bunch more. Another walnut, maple, and purple heart. I like this cutting board here. So we just got one big piece laminated to a few smaller strips, and I love the offset look. I don't always do an offset look, but I think it looks awesome. Like here we have the accent right in the middle, so we got the maple, we got black walnut, purple heart, black walnut, and then more maple, and that's right in the middle. That looks good too, but you know, each one is kind of unique. Here we got another chopping style one. This one is maple and black walnut. Turned out pretty nice. We have another maple and black walnut. All these big maple and black walnut ones were reclaimed from a conference table. If you watched me make the batch A of cutting boards, then you've seen what they all came from. I decided to do something a little more in this batch, add a different style of board. I decided to do a cheese board as well, because why not? So that's what these are. We used up some more of the bird's eye maple. This used to be a tabletop, and I'm almost out. I have a piece there and maybe another couple little pieces, but this turned out pretty good. I like this one. I love bird's eye maple. Not a huge fan of maple, but when you have like all this stuff coming through in the grain, it looks awesome. It's kind of a boring color, but the grain is fantastic. And then here we got another piece of teak. I've been using up the teak a lot, and I just think it looks really nice. It's a nice wood. I like how it's kind of all over the place. It's nice. This one here didn't have a very nice shape to it, and to cut a handle into it would have taken a lot of the presentation space away. And, you know, like, if you're going to serve cheese, you want to serve more than one slice, you know? So I decided to marry it with this railroad spike here, and I think that looks awesome. I've yet to see how well this holds up. I epoxied it in there, so it should be fine, but I've yet to see. With regular use, it should be fine. This is definitely not regular use. Imagine you're like, hey, anyone want some crackers and cheese? So with irregular handling here, it's not falling apart. So I imagine with, you know, regular handling, it should be fine in regular use and regular proper hand washing. It should be fine. In any case, I think it looks freaking dope. I mean, handles like this are fine and, you know, and dandy, but like, I like the mix of materials here. So I may experiment more in the future with mixing metal and wood. I was inspired to do this based off of the serving tray that I did over there. I was like, you know what? Rather than cut a handle in here or, you know, take away space trying to make an interesting shape, I could just do this. And I like how this has like all this pitting in there. It just matches up well. And you can see here how I tried to make it match the grain. I kind of wish that I had made this the top because it follows that grain a lot better, but I wasn't paying attention when I branded it, so oh well. Moving on, we got this piece of teak here that is married with some oak, and I think that one turned out pretty good. I did a round over all the way around on this one. It's a pretty nice piece. Moving on to these, let's call them table runner style charcuterie boards. They turned out pretty good. This one here is the cherry. I wasn't sure when I bought this if I was going to make several boards out of it or what. It had this cool grain in here, and we decided that, you know, since the grain was like this, it needed to be a single piece, so we made it into one table runner style charcuterie board. And then you can see on the bottom it's not as brilliant, but still nice. I really dig this. This one here is the poplar. You can see it kind of has that green color. I think in the future I may do some stain experimentation on some of these, you know, the softer wood ones. I'm only going to use the softwood for charcuterie boards, so there won't be, although the stain will be food safe once it's cured, you still don't want, if you're cutting on them, you don't want that getting into your food. So I'll only do that on the charcuterie board. Charcuterie boards aren't necessarily meant to be cut on. We'll see. in any case, I like the way this turned out. I don't mind the green color in there. It's going to limit, you know, who might want it, but I don't care. I like it. I like what I did with the handle. It's just, it looks cool. I dig it. The bottom is actually really brown though, so maybe the top will go brown as well. I wish I would have known that would happen before I did all the shaping, but that's okay. Here we have, so I have a memory of where I get a lot of my wood from. Like for example, this and that other piece of poplar I got from the old man down the street. This piece of wood here I got from my mother's table that was restored by someone who couldn't get the right piece of wood. So her table is made out of elm, but elm is pretty rare. It's basically extinct, so you can't harvest it in our area. So it's expensive and rare and hard to get. Rare and hard to get are the same thing. That was dumb. Anyway, she hated how this didn't match up with the elm, so she actually brought it to someone else who did have some elm, so they cut out this and then put in the elm. So this is white ash, and I think it matches really nicely with this teak. This is the last of the long teak I have, and I think it turned out great. And this one is kind of thinner, and since it's thin like this, it kind of inspired me to maybe add another product to the unfinished kitchen. So we got charcuterie boards, we got chopping boards, we got cutting boards, and we got cheese boards. I was thinking about also doing pizza paddles. I'll probably only just make one or two because the market for that is way smaller, but this kind of made me want to make pizza paddles. So this piece turned out good for more than one reason. I've never made a pizza paddle before, but why not? Then here is another piece of teak, and this turned out really nice. I like the variation in the grain like that. I think that looks cool. So another little cheese board. And then we are back to the beginning. This is the board that we started with in this video. This is kind of funny. I hate oak. I just think it's super ugly, and I really don't like Padauk. I also think it's really ugly. But for some reason, it just works. Now, I was very unsure of how I would like this board when it came out, especially before I oiled it. It just wasn't looking that nice. But once I poured the oil on there and started rubbing it in, I was like, dang, maybe Padauk is nice. I just didn't like that orange color. It looks good in the deep red more so. This might be one of my favorites because this is freaking nice. Now I'm probably always going to like the walnut maple and purple heart combination, but this is a close second. It just goes to show that just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it won't ever be nice. This oak and Padauk looks great together, so I'm going to experiment more with this in the future. I may even do like oak, teak, and Padauk. I think those woods would look really good together. This looks fantastic. So that, let's see, how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then moving over to this other table. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 boards. Dang, that's pretty good for a few days' work. I'm glad that we sort of streamlined things here, and we'll improve as we go as well. That's 3 more than batch A in about half the time. Turning this into a suitable glue-up station helped a lot. Having Steve come on, I'm definitely going to have him back when I do batch work because it makes things go way faster. So thank you, Steve, for all your help. And thank you also to Jonny B. While he was taking a break from spraying his cabinets, he came out and helped me on the drum sander so I wouldn't have to keep walking around after each pass. So yeah, thank you to Steve, thank you to Jonny B, and also thank you to Clint for moving into my shop and letting me use all of his tools, because that has been super, super helpful. Oh, you know what? It's annoying? My hot sauce is deflated. There we go. That's better. Now, speaking of things that are hot and Clint, it's not like that. And having his tools here, having Clint's tools here and things that are hot, like hot sauce, that pun didn't work out. Clint found out just a few days ago that his old shop, where all of his tools were, it burnt down. So that's crazy. Should I refilm that? Oh, no, that was funny. I'm also not particularly fond of Tabasco sauce. When I saw that thing, I was like, I gotta have it because it's a giant hot sauce bottle. I do like it, but it's not like I think it's super amazing. But also, like, I have this Archie head, right? I don't need to have it, but I wanted it, so I got it. And then, well, I made that. And then Clint has a mustache, which, by the way, was inspired by my mustache. Not my mustache, but in my old shop, I had a mustache. And then I got, you know, just, I like having things to look at when you come here, you know? Stop signs, beard, antlers, that whole wall over. Doesn't matter. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please subscribe, hit the bell, do the thumbs up thing. And if you are interested in buying stuff, all that information, as always, is in the description. Thank you for watching. To be continued.
Whoa, no. Okay, no. Look, keep the camera rolling, okay? You can't kill the production because you didn't put my part in, okay? I was in here getting busy all week, and you're trying to cut that part out? Man, that's nonsense, okay? Look, y'all, if y'all want to see what I made specifically for Josh, tune in to my channel and check out the link down below, okay? I'm going to show you how I got here and did A, B, C, and D, okay? Now to be continued.
Oh, man. A, B, C, and D.